The PX4 Storm, man, it's been a love-hate relationship. I got some range footage, check it out. Sorry about the format, because I usually film it in the, the format used for shorts. But take a look, and then we'll come back, and I'll tell you why, in the end, I ended up getting rid of it. All right, man, we'll see you in a bit.
Beretta Px4 Storm, super compact. First shot, see how she does. Like I said, it's the non-rotating barrel model. Got big hands, but also has a little finger recession, so put that on there. All right, here we go. Two shots. Pretty good. The subcompact has a little bit more kick than you want, but it grabs the hand pretty good, especially with the finger recessions. Have to get a little bit more practice with a short gun like that, but man, I like it. Pretty good. Beretta Px4 Storm subcompact. I've not really shot any subcompacts before. It's my first one, but it is a bigger unit. It is the subcompact, has a rotating barrel. So let's give it a shot and see how we do. It's a big chunky fella, but I like it. Double action. Gotta get my big old hands on there. Takes a little bit to get used to, but I like it.
There you go, man. It's a good gun. It's a Beretta. I mean, what can you say? Berettas make good guns. Of course, they're infamous for the 92 and, the stuff that's used for the military and everything. And it didn't let down. And again, I don't have it on me now because in the end, I did end up getting rid of it. And let me tell you why. As far as a gun cosmetically and everything, I could put up a picture, it has a really fat slide. And so when you look at it next to other subcompacts, it's a little bulkier, which kind of helps because you would think, it's going to help with the recoil of that little bit of extra weight. And it had features I like it was double action, single action. It had that decocker like your typical you see on like your 92, your Beretta 92. And it was a pretty good gun. I liked it. For the most part, if you're looking at it, I even didn't mind the cosmetics. I really kind of liked the profile and how it was. It was made along with that other Px4 Storm series, which you had, I think the compact and the full size were a little different because they used that rotating barrel, which is supposed to help a little bit, I think, with accuracy, longevity, and recoil. The subcompact does not. It actually has a rocker style, like your traditional, like you usually see in things like Glocks and things like that. And if you look at it as far as, the recoil and the shooting and the performance, I ran probably 200 rounds through it and didn't have even some pretty bad ammo that I've been trying to burn up. And it actually did really, really well. I didn't have any malfunctions whatsoever. But my problem with it was that was my first subcompact. And I had heard, and it's a problem a lot of people have, is your short sight distance or radius or whatever you want to call it, the distance between the front and the back sight. So it actually makes it a little bit harder to aim. If you're in the you're thinking you want to carry and you want the subcompact, that's something you want to consider. The shorter, you kind of think of it as you're getting rid of your adjustment range. Like the longer you are away from front to back sight, it's easier for you to make adjustments, like little adjustments without completely kicking way off. And when you're shorter on those subcompacts, just little movements will just throw you just way, way off target. So you have to really kind of be, functional, especially if you're shooting, outside, like, if you're shooting out there like 25, 30 yards or something like that. Now, if you're in, 7 yards, that, which is, I guess, people are going to argue that, and I know that. That's, if you're looking at subcompacts carry, you're in that close range area. But then technically, you could take in, just for the sake of argument, you're taking a thing where they talk about, like, somebody had a knife and everything at that 20 yards, and you want to be about 20 yards so they can close that gap in 20 yards, that whole thing you've heard before. So, generally I'm thinking you're going to be, somebody out about 20, 25 yards. And I could hit, you see there, I could hit pretty good, but I really had to focus because that short distance really just little slight adjustments. You'll see one if you look through there, if I caught it on that format. I'll try to put up a short on it, but you'll see I'm hit and then I make a little adjustment and then I hit below the entire rack. And I was like, wow, that didn't really make a difference or make a big, it made a big difference, sorry. But they, but other than that, but that's the style. That's the subcompact style. As for the gun, like I said, the grip was good. It's a little larger, a little bigger. So, and it had these little finger grooves on the side. You'll see it if you saw in the video. I talk about it, and it makes a good place for your thumb and your finger to sit, and it kind of helps you control that a little bit better. My biggest problem with the Storm was the trigger. That was probably, out of all the guns I've shot, even, you know, you hear people talking about the HKP30 having a real smushy trigger. This was that multiplied to me. There was so much take up and slopping the trigger and such a long distance to the reset. It was really hard, you know, to really stay on target with it because it was so much smush and so much movement in the trigger, and it was almost, you know, kind of threw me off a bit. And so after shooting that and then the subcompact, which I got bigger hands, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm a bigger guy. I probably run about 6'6", you know, 280, 290. And so I got pretty decent hands, and it, just holding it and then just trying to get the adjustments, it just wasn't for me. But even then, I think if the trigger was a little bit better and it wasn't so smushy, that was the big thing that made me decide utterly in the end to get rid of it and sell it off. If it wasn't for that, if it had a nicer trigger, because I've got some, you know, I think it's like a 3 inches what that barrel is. I've got some 4-inch, 4.89, I think, and it, you know, the smaller size, like the compact size, didn't get me. That was, again, that's my first subcompact, not being a repeat, didn't get me, but it was just so hard to maintain, and it was just like, you know, in the end, this is just going to sit in my safe. So other than that, like, if you don't mind the trigger, the decocker was awesome. The double action single action, the way it broke down was, you know, traditional Beretta. You had a, you know, a takedown pin that, and you take it down, you press it down, and then you pull it out about halfway and you slide it off. Sorry, I don't have it with me. It was just one of those things. I went and shot it a couple days later. I was like, you know what, I'm going to get rid of it. But it was really good. I mean, just like my other, I had my 92 back in the past, and it kind of reminded me just of a small version of that. Really good gun. It was beefed up. The barrel was really good. He had a flare end on it, so that it helps, you know, control a little bit of that, how it resets and everything. It, good gun, but it just wasn't for me. And I'd just take that in mind if you're on the fence and you're looking at it. That's the biggest thing I take you. Cosmetically, construction, longevity, functionality, great. I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. The trigger is probably one of the worst ones that I've used. It was just completely smushy, huge reset, and it just made it real hard for me. And then again, if you're new and you're thinking about getting into that subcompact world, be aware that shorter distance between the front and back sights will really make it hard for you to stay on target. I know it kept it brief, man. I just want to give my, you know, why I don't have it anymore. But, you know, that's it. And if you're on the fence, you're looking at one, that's it. Good gun, good function, good construction, good cosmetics. It's just the trigger on it was just not for me. And again, that subcompact distance was just not for me. All right, man, I hope that helps. Until next time.